Hey everybody, welcome to the Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout. Today is September 21st, 2018, if you're here in the US. And this week we're going to be talking about local maker events. The most prevalent one for the US is New York Makerfaire right now. And we've actually got Pooch on the line from the G-Create meetup. He's been in New York here for a couple of days. So we're going to skip intros here for a little bit and go right to Pooch so that he can get back to the festivities at hand.
What's up, everybody? Live, like man on the street here. This is Pooch from RepCore. I am coming at you live from the G-Create event prior to the launch tomorrow of New York Makerfaire, and everybody's excited. We have a kind of an intimate gathering going here at G-Create's new space. Really cool spot in the Brooklyn Naval Yards, which used to be a naval ordnance facility. So it was like literally a bunker, held all the ordnance for the Navy, like a bunch of big shells and stuff like that. So the whole facility is actually dedicated to manufacturers now. So they cleared all that stuff out, but it's still, you know, you look at it, it's like just really stark hallways and a lot of cinder block and giant freight elevators at the end for, like, you know, moving up and down stuff, which is really awesome if you're a manufacturer, because there's a lot to haul up and down, and, you know, dealing with shipping and stuff like that. But G-Create's got a cool little space. I don't remember what the square footage is exactly, but they've expanded quite a bit from last year. And their big news is that they're doing print services now, which makes a ton of sense for them, given that they kind of have a nice niche with larger printing. And, you know, I don't know if you ever mentioned to somebody that you have like a G-Create or something that can print, you know, an 18 by 18 by 24, people are like, oh, can you print this for me? Can you print that for me? And I think they got tired of being asked that. So they just said, like, let's make a print service out of it. So they got a good farm going of all their different printers and stuff like that, which is cool. But everybody here is having a good time. We're excited for New York Makerfaire tomorrow. And there should be some good announcements. Like, we've already seen some good teases coming from Prussia with his new line of filaments. I know that Palette's here, Mosaic's here with their palette, Talking Palette 2. They have a booth this year, which is kind of cool. And I'm sure there's more little gems to be found tomorrow.
What's some of the things you're looking forward to seeing, Pooch? Anything specific?
Yeah, no, definitely. So Prussia's been teasing like a big announcement, possibly about a new printer. We kind of have an idea of what we think it is, but you know, tomorrow's the time. So I'm curious to hear that, because, you know, it feels like the Mark III just came out, and you know, so there's speculation like maybe they're going a different direction with some stuff, but, you know, who knows. But I got a chance a little bit earlier to kind of stop by the booth and see some of the stuff as they were unpacking, and it's going to be awesome. I can tell that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Hey,
what's up, guys?
Hey, Shane.
Figured I'd chime in here for a little while.
Cool. We're sorry. We're letting Pooch kind of just take the beginning of the show here, Shane, just since he's in New York now, and we've kind of got him off to the side of the G-Create meetup tonight. So we're just kind of letting him run through what he's seeing, and then we'll get into the intros and all that stuff.
So one of the other cool things I was going to say, this is the first year, as far as I'm not, at least in New York, that they're going to do a cosplay area, which is almost surprising given like how big of a cosplay community there is, especially with 3D printing and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how much draw that's going to be to like hardcore cosplayers, because, you know, it's the first year, and you know, they already have their own, you know, big shows where they can get together at Dragon Con and, you know, like. But I think that it's cool that they've kind of included that. They've definitely, like, the Zone 3 that was there last year, where like a lot of the 3D printers were, has definitely opened up and expanded a bit, which is nice to see. I think they did a better job with the layout. It's hard to say exactly, because like literally stuff was still in pallets, you know, crated and stuff like that when I was there earlier. But you know, it's looking pretty awesome. I think I'm a little bit, you know, I'm a little bummed. I don't think Simi is having a presence, or at least not as big of a presence, because the Part Daddy's not here. But the other thing I'm looking forward to is just some of the non 3D printer related stuff. I always love having the time to walk the show and just see some of the other creativity around a lot of the projects that are being done and stuff like that. That's always nice as somebody that appreciates just making in general. We kind of get into our little zone with 3D printing and stuff like that. And I do, especially with like the stuff I'm doing with community catch-up, and wanting to see more media, different kind of makes and stuff like that. It's a good opportunity for that. So it's nice to have kind of something different from like your ERF environment. But yeah, man, it's been a trip. I feel like I've been here since Wednesday. And I'm staying with a bunch. We all got a house, and I'm staying with a bunch of big YouTube creators, and we're like a block from the place, which is nice. So it's super walkable. Not the nicest part of Flushing, but certainly convenient.
What does Repcord have any showings or offerings at the Maker Faire?
Yeah, no. So I. No, I don't have a booth or anything like that. Although I will say I did bring some of the new rep boxes that Travis and I have been working on. I did deliver one to the Prusa booth today, which I was super excited about because I've been trying to get Prusa's attention around it. But we've been getting steady orders actually coming in ever since we announced pre-orders and then actually started filling. And significant percentage of people are like, I'm on the MMU2 order list and I want this to complement it. And what's been frustrating for me is like I can't get my hands on an MMU2 any faster than anybody. I mean, Joel doesn't even have one. Like some of these big creators don't even have one. They only just started shipping them. And so I spent some time talking to Michael Prusa last night. I showed him, pictures of what we got. I said, hey, I brought one for you guys. And he's like, yeah, bring it by. I'll check it out. It sounds good. Because he's like, yes, I've spent all this time engineering around the actual MMU2. And if you've been following along MMU2 and stuff like that, they kind of realized like we didn't really put any thought into the spool holder being an issue. One of the big issues with the MMU2 is that there's a different mechanism for changing out filaments in this one. Before it was like a 4-in-1 type, head situation. And so it only had to retract the filament out like a little bit to feed another one in. This one's got to retract about 20 or 30 centimeters out to the main assembly that's on top of the frame, right?
Right.
So the problem with that is that it has the potential to backfeed the spool that's feeding it and cause tangling issues.
Okay.
And so they kind of were late to the game on that, and so they created this thing called a filament spring, which is like sits on the front of the spool holder that they have, but these are individual spool holders, right? So when you look at something that's got 5 spools lined up next to each other, there's a huge footprint that is taken up to feed this thing. And so a lot of people, I think, recognize the elegance and the compactness of the rep box and the fact that by the way that we kind of feed out through the pneumatic tube, the PTFE tubing at a 45-degree angle, that it's almost impossible to backfeed the thing. It'll just spring down inherently, So right. I just got a message from Shane earlier saying, they've already gotten a bunch of inquiries about the box and I need to bring more cards tomorrow and the show hasn't even started. So, that's really encouraging for me, and Travis and I are super excited. We really would love to see this thing take off. It's kind of a niche product, but I think there's an interesting space for it, especially because, more people are getting excited about MMU.
Well, yeah, exactly. With the oncoming of MMU now with the Palette Pro or the Palette 2s, and of course Prusa's MMU2, I mean, that is going to open up the opportunity for people to need a way to have multiple spools compactly. Yeah. And I mean, we're talking desktop printing. So, I mean, I happen to have a desk the size of a large door because that's what it is. So I have room. I also have workbenches and stuff, but desktop printing, now you've got that spool holder, you've got the controls, you've got everything going on with it. Having that box hanging up on the wall takes MMU back to being desktop size again. So, yeah, it's definitely it's absolutely an elegant solution to it. And
I hope so.
like you said,
I hope
when
so.
you guys first launched, it was kind of, you're right, it was a niche thing because either you have multi-material or multiple printers. One or the other is the use case for that. So yeah, it definitely opens up some opportunities for you guys. So it's cool that I knew you were trying and pushing for Prusa to have one of the rep boxes at their stand. That's awesome that they've got one.
Yeah, no, I was really encouraged. Like, actually, I feel like I finally got Joe's attention, even because he finally like retweeted it today and all this stuff. And I was just like, we've been, I have no marketing budget. I mean, like I'm kind of working from a shoestring budget and stuff like that. So, having the community help with that has just been so integral, and I'm so thankful that I've had all you guys to like kind of help juice, signal boost everything and all that stuff. And, Joe Mike, volunteered to kind of help me with the assembly guide that I thought was going to be way easier than it was, and just like all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, it just really makes me appreciative to be part of the community. Together we can, make something of it. And, who knows? Like, I think we're still in a phase where we're kind of testing the viability of it, because it seems funny. It's like just a box, but I really think that there's a lot of interest in it, and I'm encouraged. The other thing that's really cool is I actually got my hands on a pallet too for the first time tonight, because there's one here, man, that little unit. One, it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. It's very compact, and it's got some serious heft to it. So like, it really just makes you feel like it's this quality thing, whether or not that's just because they threw a bunch of lead weights in it or not, I don't know. But I mean, it's definitely got a whole bunch of stepper motors and stuff that are integrated into it. It's a much more elegant solution than the one before, because it doesn't have that rotary encoder that's like way off on the other end of the extrusion and stuff like that. So, I think Pallet, if they can nail the canvas and the software ecosystem tied with it, I think they've got a real home run with this thing. And then they brought the price point down, I think, to a little bit more of an accessible level. They're still kind of a niche product. I'm not going to, go out on a limb. I don't know if I subscribe fully to Joe Mike's impression that we're like in this like MMU revolution. But I think it does open up a lot of interesting possibilities. And the reason G-Create has one that's really fascinating to me is because now that they do production, they're selling production, they have a ton of like partial spools, right, from print jobs that they haven't been able to finish. And the palette, it actually opens up this opportunity for them to just like fuse together a bunch of like leftover spools and actually like not waste nearly as much filament for things where it doesn't matter what the color is and it's painted and stuff anyway. So that in and of itself, never mind like all the really cool multicolor print stuff it does, is a really neat feature that it offers.
Yeah. So I got two more questions for you, Pooch, before you get a run. What's one non-3D printing related thing that you want to see at New York Maker Faire that you know is up there or you're hoping to see? Let's put it that way.
One non-related 3D printing. So I gotta say, I've been getting more excited about drones, lately, and so I always love watching the drone pavilion. Like sometimes they'll do drone racing. I'm not sure if they're doing the racing this year, but they always have the pavilion and stuff like that. A buddy of mine back home is really into the FPV, the drone racing, where it's like you're wearing the headset and stuff like that. So he's been trying to get me into that. And I actually did a 3D printed canopy for him. So it's kind of adjacent, but he basically, a lot of these guys will take these kits and they'll print like a TPU canopy. And we tried one that was Tallman 910 that held up really well. So like kind of using that nylon and having that rigidity to protect all your stuff inside the drone. So I kind of geek out around that stuff. Always like anything involving fire. So, you see that, like even walking in today, they're testing like some giant metal sculpture that's spitting out fire and stuff like that. So I'm sure you'll see a lot of cool photography and stuff with, those kind of things
Cool.
that always end up on the Make website and stuff.
Yeah. And the follow-up question for everybody who's on the fence yet about going to New York Maker Faire this year, can you give them what's your most important reason why you should go to New York Maker Faire or a Maker Faire?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the answer to that's going to vary from person to person. for me, it's very much about networking and actually getting some FaceTime and interacting with the community. This is my opportunity to really meet a lot of these people that I've been talking to for sometimes a year plus. And so, I love being part of this community and meeting new people and actually putting faces, not even just faces to names, but actually personalities. Because I feel like you get to this point where you feel like you know somebody and you've never met them,
Right.
So, I know we chatted on stuff, Google Hangouts and stuff like that well before we actually met in person. And so it's just so cool to have that context and stuff. So I like that. And then, the other reason is just to expand your horizons a little bit. Maker Faire, there's a lot of people that are hardcore into the 3D printing and love the MRFs and the ERFs, which are really cool because, it's people that are in the space and innovating and coming up with new stuff and pushing stuff forward for 3D printing. But I think it's always good to bring it back and realize we're all makers, and that sometimes there's a lot of cool ideas and a lot of cool opportunities in non-specific 3D printing related things. 3D printing opens up a lot of opportunities in a lot of different fields. And so it's just inspirational. It's cool to see how many people are excited. Everybody's having fun. People are bringing their kids. It's a really good family event. If you have kids and stuff like that, there's something for everybody. And if you have the opportunity, I definitely recommend it.
Cool. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say, Pooch? Or any questions from John or Shane for Pooch?
I love you, Pooch.
I love you too, John.
No, I'm just excited to get my MMU, which doesn't ship until November. So I'm gonna get my Prusa should be here next week, I think, my Mark III. So I'll be doing that. And then I mainly bought this because if you guys see, my office is now a 10th of what I had in my last house. So anything I can do to kind of crunch it down to make it work is really what I'm looking for. And that's exactly why I bought it. And because it's also $10 cheaper when I bought it than what it is now.
Act now. Yeah, no. It's awesome. I'm glad I could actually jump on with you guys and that it worked out, because a lot of times when I'm on the West Coast, timing wise, it doesn't always work out with kids and dinner and stuff like that. So it's been really, really awesome. And I know there's a bunch of people. Hey, do you want me to go in and really quick? I mean, it's gonna be loud. I don't know how well we'll hear you, but do you want me to see if we can say hi to some people?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that.
There we go. We get the first-hand tour.
All right. So let me flip. How do I flip my camera? Here we go. Flip the camera. All right. So we're entering G-Create here. 3D printing and printing surfaces. What will you create? Please enter 3D printed. So coming in, you're greeted with a nice little display, and you immediately start to see a lot of amazing people. We've got a ton of stuff. This is production over here, stuff that's getting built to be shipped. This is where we start to see a lot of their production stuff, a lot of their version 2 that is hopefully going to be coming out soon, but a lot of stuff that's in the prototype phase. This might seem familiar to anybody that was at MRF and ERF. We got their kind of prototype on the wide scale stuff, and they're printing a lot as we go. One of the cool things about G-Create, they use high-end everything. So this V6, BL Touch, authentic everything. Just a lot of thought goes into the engineering of everything in here. Obviously, they got to handle a lot of filament because they're moving stuff. They're constantly. Gordon, I text with him every once in a while. I'll get something at 3 a.m. my time, which is 6 a.m. here, and he's been up all night working on some new version. So he's got a little shop space here, which is really awesome now. Let's go look at this guy here. Here's the guy himself. This guy might look familiar. So David Randolph's here. We're at the Friday night 3D printing streams going on right now. So they just wanted to peek in and say hi. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. What we're doing? Oh, yep, over here. We got palette 2. This is what I was telling you. I really wish you could appreciate the heft on this thing, but it's just in random, just throwing a bunch of different splices together.
Hey Pooch, you got to tell Gordon he needs a different spool holder over there.
He really does, right? We're working on that. We're working on that. In fact, I'm not sure if the guys have gotten here yet. I know Derek and the co-founder for Mosaic and stuff are supposed to be here, so I'm looking forward to that. Protopasta dudes are here. Sorry, Friday night 3D stream is going on. Just say hey.
Hey, Alex.
Cheers, cheers. Everybody's saying hey. They put on a really cool event earlier where they did a filament. So all their metal fills, they did like a polishing of all their metal fills, kind of a workshop. So they kind of created a bunch of these like 3D printed beads out of their copper fill, their iron fill, bronze fill, and then we did a little bit of like early like oxidation to try to get like a patina on their copper fill, some polishing using just some sandpaper and using some buffing. This guy might be familiar to you. Oh, wait a minute. What did I just do?
Are you on the Hangout?
Yeah, we're on the Hangout, man.
Hey, Joel.
Joel's here. Been having a good old time. Hey, you got to check out Joel's tweet. If you didn't see that earlier, he's been hanging out doing New York big time.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
We saw that. That's good.
It's because Joel's a baller.
Joel, what's what's one thing you want to see at Maker Faire?
We miss you guys all that can't be here. I'm going to get back to it, but I just wanted to say greetings, and hopefully we'll see you soon at another Maker Faire or Murph or something like that.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, Pooch.
Awesome to be here, guys. Have a good night, okay? Good stream.
All right, good talking to you.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Now we skipped over at the beginning doing the intros. That was Pooch from Repcord. You can follow him on Twitter at Repcord, REPKORD, or on YouTube. Just search Repcord on YouTube and you should come up with his channel on there as well. As well as he was talking about the Rep box, which is their filament distribution box that holds anywhere from 5 to 7 spools of filament, depending on the size of the spool. You can find those at repcord.com as well. And Eddie had posted in the chat the link to the Rep box, which is, I'm not sure if it's over yet or not, but it was listed for $89, and I think that's going up here shortly to $99. So let's jump back to the beginning, and we can do intros. John, go ahead and do your intro.
Hi, I'm John. Would you do it? I do a lot of things. I'm a DIY makerspace guy. Got into 3D printing over a year ago. Glad that the F3D PCH community has accepted me as a member. Currently, the space behind me used to be my makerspace. I moved it to the other wall. This is going to be my Star Wars Death Star control room. So right now I'm working on Han Solo 6-foot tall version in Carbonite. That's my big project. You've
been experimenting with drywalling, right, John?
Oh, I know all kind of stuff about drywall. Yep.
I can envision a Millennium Falcon crashing through the wall.
Oh, that would be badass. Oh, yeah. Man, that's an awesome idea. All right, brother.
All right, Sean. I'm sorry, Shane.
What's up? I'm Shane. I run Fugate 3D printing, which is pretty much, I do mainly reviews. Filament reviews is kind of my big thing. I've reviewed probably well over 200 different filaments now over the past 2 years. I've been doing it. I've just moved, so my new space is coming along, but we're still trying to work on it and get everything sorted out. And that's me.
And where can everybody find you, Shane?
Oh, I go by Fuginator on a lot of things. So I'm Fuginator on Twitter. My YouTube channel is Fugate 3D Printing. Facebook, I have a Fugate 3D Printing there as well. I respond on most of all those. Instagram, I post randomly as well. So pretty much all those random social medias. Look for Fuginator, you'll find me.
Okay. You guys, John, I know you were at New York Maker Faire last year. I was at New York Maker Faire. Shane, you were at IRF. Have you been to New York Maker Faire at all?
No, that would require me to be in the same country.
Well, yeah, this is true. I know you spent some time in the States. So we're all holding down the home front. So we're kind of living vicariously through everybody who's at New York Maker Faire and at all the meetups and stuff that are around New York Maker Faire this week. What's some of the things you guys are hoping to see from the live streams, from social media and stuff like that from New York Maker Faire?
I'm a big one to watch Adam Savage, and every time he goes to these events, he ends up putting on a pretty good speech. I think his one from Bay Area Maker Faire was like an hour long, and I definitely made sure to watch that and just hear how he thinks how technology is evolving, what makers do in to kind of push that along. And it's all about the DIYers, the guys like us that are at home doing random things. Not necessarily just 3D printing, but just everything in general: woodworkers, pipe workers, steel workers, welders, things like that. And I also look forward just to see what the new tech is. It's kind of the reason why I watch a lot of CES stuff, is just to see what's out there. I try to stay as connected as I can via Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. And I'm getting more into Twitter now. But I like to see what's new, what's coming next, what's the next step. Right now, again, as Joe Mike was saying, is the multi-materials. What's coming next is kind of the big thing. But I want to see someone else do it. Right now, there's only two big companies doing it: Prusa and Mosaic. So I would love to see what someone else is going to bring to the table. And the next one I think is going to be is M3D, because they're bringing out their mixing head, and they're setting that out actually as a separate thing to sell, and you can install it on your printer. So that'll be, again, something else interesting to see from other companies.
Right. That is one of the cool things. Like, you think of Maker Faire and it's to showcase everybody's projects, but there are some product announcements made at Maker Faire. But the one thing I think that differentiates those announcements from, you said you follow CES, Shane. CES announcements are for everyone, and typically it's an end product. It's not really the DIY maker product. The cool thing about Maker Faire is pretty much you can guarantee anything that's announced product-wise is something for makers to use to make something. I think that is one of the coolest things, one of the things that really catches my attention to product announcements at Maker Faire as opposed to really any other events. Or I should say maker events in general, not just Maker Fairs, but that is one of the coolest things about those product announcements. What about you, John?
So for me, at Maker Faire, it's all about the networking. So we met at Maker Faire. That was the first time we met in person, was at Maker Faire. I don't think you actually knew who I was, did you?
I didn't.
Yeah.
And just so you know, John, you're still showing your desktop.
That's intentional. No,
okay.
It's not intentional.
That always sounds good. Yeah. No, meeting you at New York Maker Faire, you came up to me and handed me a giant maker coin and said, "Here, will you sign this?" And then we got to talking.
Yeah. So it was definitely all about the networking. I liked Chuck Hellebuck's content, so meeting him was definitely awesome. It was really to have my son experience it too, because if you remember, my son was there.
Yep.
He's going for engineering, so I wanted him to see everything about the maker community and understand, people really are passionate about building stuff and not just like in the garage for the fun of it. This is like real deal. Like, they'll spend hours and hours upon weeks and weeks to do one project. So, and we all know what that's like when we're doing it. So, yep. Yeah, it was really just interface with the people who are really peers in this. Nobody's a competitor. We're all peers in this, and we all help each other out. And whenever we have a problem, and having a face behind the YouTuber or the person on Twitter or on Facebook, if you already made that personal connection, had a beer or whatever, together, it just makes it so much easier to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think looking at Maker Fairs from two different perspectives, one as a content creator and the other as just general public. You don't create content, but you make or have an interest in it. I think one of the most important things for everybody going to maker fairs or any of these maker events, the mini maker fairs, the IRFs, the MRFs, is the inspiration behind it. I mean, you go and you get to see people doing all kinds of things that you may not have any immediate interest in, but once you're there and you're looking at what people are doing, the creativity that comes from that is awesome. And from the content creator side of things and the 3DP community or the maker community, really, you know, it's interesting because if you're active on social media, really specifically Twitter, you go and you meet these people. Last year, it was the first for a lot of us going to New York Maker Faire, and the first for a lot of us to actually get to meet each other in person. And it was really cool how, you know, the community came together, and like Pooch had said at the beginning, you know, him and I met. We had talked a bit online before that, done the Friday night hangouts and stuff. And when we met in New York, it was like we've been friends forever. Pooch and I wandered around New York City after 2 a.m. Somewhere on a harbor overlooking Jersey City. We had no idea where we were. We were looking for the subway, and it was like, hey, what's that thing over there? Let's go check it out. And we dopped around the city at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you'd have told me I was going to walk around New York City at 2 a.m. with somebody that I had just met in person that day, I'd have thought you were full of it up to that point. But everybody that I've met, and IRF was the same way. Met a lot of people at IRF that I had never gotten to meet before, and got to hang out with people that I have met already. The community and, as you guys call it, networking, is awesome at these events. And you don't have to be a content creator to fit into that community and to stand around and talk. I mean, last year at New York Maker Faire, talking to Bob Claggett, he has whatever it is, 1 million. I think he's up to 2 million subscribers now. And we get to just stand around and talk. I had 25 subscribers or something like that at New York Maker Faire. It's cool. Everybody's on a level playing field with one interest and one interest only, which is making stuff. So that's the things I go to these events looking forward to.
So I can say the big thing, I mean, just at least for when I got the IRF, I mean, that was the first maker event I could even go to. Granted, it was a 3D printing event, but my whole big thing there was just the networking. Like, because I am very, very far away from everyone, and I only do interactions through emails or Facebook or, you know, Twitter, things like that. So actually being able to meet a lot of people, and I mean, that's where we met, is at IRF this year, and it was just, that was the best thing for me, is to walk to somebody like, hey, I've seen you before, you know, hey, you know, I've watched your stuff. Like, that would like blew my mind, you know, and it gave me a smile on the face every day. Yeah, I think about it now. It's just like, people actually, you know, but just, again, it was just meeting people was my thing. Is I didn't care about anything else. I cared about meeting people, talking to people, and just seeing what everyone was doing.
Hit the wrong button. Yeah, that part of it is cool. I mean, you can, at these events, you can basically walk up to anybody and start talking to them. It's even easier when they have their creations or their projects there to start talking about what they're doing. And people do some amazing stuff. I mean, whether it's the 3D printing focused events or the maker fairs, there's always something there that makes you just step back and look at it and go, huh, I never thought of doing that. Or that's just simply, that's really cool. I've never seen anything like that before. I'm just reading the chat here.
I think Eddie's feeling better.
Any events coming up? Maker events, content creator events, anything? Shane, I know you're probably kind of limited a little bit more on maker events, but maybe you can even talk about any kind of things that you get to do where you're at. They may not be focused on maker events, but anything maker related that you get to do where you're at?
Not in a group setting, I would say. I mean, everything I'm doing right now is all personal projects, whether it's, I mean, right now it's a lot of practical printing. I've got a bunch of wood and MDF cut up downstairs. I'll be actually building some stuff. I just build, it's more building stuff for like my house and things that we need that are just hard to find here. I mean, it's very hard being an American and used to American ways, living in foreign countries. They don't do things the way we do it. They don't prioritize things the way we prioritize them. So, and it's also where I'm living, which I don't really say too much on, is that it's mainly a government city. There's nothing really else here. It's in the middle of nowhere. All the other cities out are all the touristy cities. That's where a lot of things are happening. There's not a whole lot that happens here. So my goal is to try and get in and or find some things. I know people do stuff. I know people build things, and it's just trying to find those here is what I'm trying to do. And language barrier is also my biggest problem because I don't speak the language. I never do anywhere I go. So trying to learn some of that. And I mean, it's hard enough just going up to the store to guy to try to buy some pineapples, you know, like trying to learn my numbers. You know, it's really hard to kind of try and get into some of these things when you don't even speak the language. So the best thing I can do is close enough, I guess. But again, it's just more of the, I'm just trying to get things done for myself right now and work on some of my own skills. And I don't do a lot of woodworking, but now that I have the time to do it, I'm trying to work on that as well.
I'm sure with your travels, that kind of can act as your own inspiration. Seeing the local customs and the way they do things probably can help spur creativity the same way maker fairs and things like that do for us. For those of us who don't travel out of the country, I'm sure you kind of have some exposure to that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, just to give you like a quick maker thing, a lot of the people here, it's a tropical country. I can say that. So a lot of people build outdoor furniture. And yeah, you can go to the store, you know, there's like an IKEA style store here that, I mean, it's generally well priced, not too expensive, but there's people that will weld metal frames and then they will weave the using like a wicker. They'll weave the chairs and tables and things like that, and they'll make their own cushions for them, and you can buy that. I mean, that's core making right there. And they throw it in a, they usually have a big old, a 20-foot long truck, 30-foot long truck. They pile them all in there, and then they set up on the side of the road and they put everything out, and you negotiate and try to buy it. How much is someone else's work worth? Like these chairs, I mean, the one round ones they have are probably good, I'd say 5 to 6 feet round, kind of like a big lounger. And like, how much is someone's welding and weaving and sewing work worth? How many hours did it take to make that product, and that I want to pay for it? And it comes to the whole negotiating. That's the other thing that's really weird that a lot of people don't understand, is that unless you go to a store, you don't pay the sticker price, like ever. Like if I go to the grocery store, I'm going to pay what it says on there. But anywhere else you go here, it's all negotiation. And that's also a very weird thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that, well, he told me it's 100, snips, whatever the local currency is. I'm like, well, offer him 50, see if he goes for it. Like, I mean, I want to save money, but I don't want to undervalue him. But I mean, some things are expensive.
How difficult is that as you're learning the customs and stuff? Because, like here in the States, when you're negotiating buying something, let's say off Craigslist, and you offer somebody a price less than what they're asking for something, you run that risk of offending them and them thinking you're trying to lowball. As you're trying to learn the customs where you're at, how difficult is that to negotiate, to start negotiations without, I'm sure the thoughts in the back of your mind of, are they going to get offended at the price that I'm about to offer them? How's that work?
That's not so much the mentality overseas. It's a very American way of thinking, because they set their prices higher. I'm a white guy in a country. You know, I can say I previously lived in China. You know, I lived in China for 3 years, and going to the giant markets that they have there, some of the knockoff markets and some of just regular markets you go to, they're gonna charge you 3 times what they want to start at. So if they want to start at 100, they're gonna start at you at 300. That's just
Okay.
guaranteed. So you have to know in the back of your mind, I have to start negotiating at 100 because that's what they're going to charge a local.
Gotcha.
And just because also the neighborhood I live in is, I mean, yeah, we live in a nice neighborhood. I mean, they put us in nice areas for reasons. You know, it's a lot safer where here these places are. There's more things accessible. It's a little more first world to what we're used to. And because of that, there's locals around me that their houses are enormous and there's so much money in this neighborhood. So as soon as you go up to the expensive grocery store that's just up the street and there's a guy selling pineapples there, he's going to be charging me triple what I could go and get at the actual giant market, you know, just the fruit and veggie market on the weekends. Literally at least triple. Like he'll give me 1 for 5 snips. I can get 5 for 5 at the market. Like that's the markup, and you have to you just aware of that. And like you could negotiate with them if you want to, and he'll give you the it's so much, but I mean he's got a truck full of them. I guarantee it didn't cost that much to get those, guaranteed. Right. But it's just something you have to be aware of, and it's just a very different thing. That I mean I've been doing this a lot of years now, and it's basically the same everywhere, but it's just very different from what everyone back home is used to.
That makes sense. What's one of the coolest things you've seen maker related that the community has made down there that they sell or?
It's hard to tell here. I've only been here for about a month now, so I haven't ventured out too much yet. There are, I mean, again, when I was in China, there's just so much culture there and so many different things that they make. I mean, whether it's clothing or whether it's pottery. A previous tour, my last tour, I was in the Middle East, and pottery was very big there. And I guess Central Eurasia, not quite Middle East, but pottery was huge there. So to get some of these intricate hand-painted pottery was just amazing because it looks like it came off an assembly line. But no, someone sat there with a very, very fine brush, and we've seen the artisans and the masters paint these things, and they're whipping it out almost like a machine does, and they do it with great precision. It looks amazing. So here I'm not quite sure what the big thing is. I know outdoor furniture because I see that everywhere here. It's a very sunny country, so they like being outdoors a lot. So they sell a lot of outdoor things. Pools are also very big here. There's a lot of pool stuff around, but other than that, I don't know yet.
Yeah. What about you, John? Any events coming up that you're going to? Maker related, content creator related, anything like that?
Yeah, not really. So I just got back from Video Marketing World, and that was an event where you learn how to perform better video marketing. I intend to go to New York Comic Con, so yeah, technically that's maker related. I got my press pass for that. I'll do some interviews there. I applied for Vid Summit, which is immediately follows that. If I get accepted into that, then I'll be attending there. That's all things to like try to figure out how to do your channel and make it better. And everybody says niche down. I'm kind of like hesitant on that because I'm like DIY makerspace. Those things combined. But definitely next year, it'll either be Murph or Earth for sure. That's what I'm really interested in.
Any takeaways from the video marketing conference that you were at, or anything to?
Yeah, there was a pretty big one, and I'm gonna have to look up what I tweeted about or what I commented on. Because I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. It was a pretty important one. So I won't comment on it now. When I remember it, I'll bring it up. Right. But each one of us who is who's passionate about doing the videos, doing the content, whether you're taking photos and posting on Instagram or doing something on Facebook. It's almost like you have an obligation to become discovered. Because if you just put the video out there, it's almost, and you don't tell anybody about it, it's almost like you just made a video and you stuck the cassette from the video recorder in your closet with no intention of making it public. So there's a lot of techniques that you can use to make these things public. So I'll be working with TubeBuddy. I spoke with Andrew Kahn and Phil Stanovich. He's the CEO of TubeBuddy. We're going to do some videos around how to, for makers specifically, how to improve the things around your video to help you be discovered better. And the most important parts there are the title and description. And then after that, it's tags. That's the last thing for searchable content. But the other part that was important, when I remember that, I'll bring it up because it was definitely an important takeaway.
Do you have any, are there any maker fairs in New Jersey, like mini maker fairs or anything like that?
There's a couple, but they're up in North Jersey. That's like, we consider that a different state. So no, the next closest one to me beyond New York Maker Faire would be Philadelphia. They have a mini one. I think they just had their first one last year.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to find out that Philly didn't have a larger maker fair.
I know, right? So yeah. maybe it'll be a little bit bigger this year. The next thing would be Norfolk, right? Norfolk. Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, yeah. Is there one? Yeah, I guess there is. Is that a mini maker fair or is that a?
I thought wasn't that the one that Vicky went to, or am I confusing it with another?
Oh, that's Nova. There is
Nova. Okay, yeah. Nova.
There is one in Norfolk though. I don't know if that's a big one or a little one.
That's not the same one. Isn't Nova the same one?
No, there's a separate one.
Okay, all right.
I'm just curious now.
Somebody in the chat will make a correction.
How do I see this chat? I'm not seeing this.
You got to go on the live stream on YouTube on the Friday night channel. YouTube.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, youtube.com/Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout, and then hit the live video, and you'll see the YouTube chat. They were talking about different areas they lived and the customs of like things they make in those areas.
My son's in chat right now. The stuff.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like, "What's popping?" By the way, my son makes music. He does trap and hip hop. And one of the videos I did when I was at Earth was centered around one of his pieces of music. So if you want to use one of his pieces, he's on SoundCloud /the Steph 2Fs.
Yeah, I got to figure out, speaking of that, how to actually use his stuff.
Well, there's a download thing you can get. And,
is there? Okay.
Yeah. I could talk to you about it after stream.
Just looking at Maker Faire's website. So some of the upcoming fairs, obviously, we've got New York Maker Faire this weekend, the 22nd and 23rd. There's a mini Maker Faire in Shreveport, Louisiana. There's actually, this one's, Prince George, British Columbia, September 22nd. That's this weekend as well. That's a mini Maker Faire. I know I was hoping they were going to be able to be on tonight, but I know Fun King 3D and Country 3D, they go to a couple in Florida. I know Gainesville's one of them that they go to, and I think they're going to Orlando Maker Faire. I'm not sure on that. I thought there was one coming up very soon, but I'm not seeing it on the Maker Faire website.
He talked about something the other day on Twitter. I saw him mention something.
Yeah.
But I think he was going, but Xander wasn't. I can't remember what he said on it though. But I know there's one coming up down there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just kind of browsing through here looking for Florida, and I'm just not seeing it. Yeah, I'm out. Well, it's just the beginning of October. There's Atlanta, Georgia. That's October 27th. I think it's Orlando.
I know they canceled the Pittsburgh Maker Faire because it's usually put on by the Children's Hospital is the main proponent behind that one. But they I just saw a thing saying that they were canceling it this year due to some other event going on.
Oh, really? There shoots another one down that I might have been able to go to.
That's my hometown. I got invited last year, but I couldn't make it because other side of the world. But I'd love to make it there one year.
Yeah,
one day.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania, or I live in Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh's a pretty decent haul from where I'm at because I'm over South Central PA, and on the east side of the South Central PA, and Pittsburgh's like 4 or 6 hour drive. I think it's closer to 6 hours away. But I would like to go out there sometime. So hopefully they bring back their Maker Faire future years. Orlando Maker Faire, which I swear that's what Glenn is going to and Walter's going to. That's November 10th and 11th. So if anybody's down in the Florida area, there's quite a few content creators that are down that way that are planning on going to that one. All right. Tonight, with it being Maker Faire, a lot of the streamers are obviously tied up. So I figured, the conversation about the Maker Faire probably was going to be kind of short. So I decided to have a second topic that I didn't really announce too much. So hopefully I don't catch you guys off guard. But I figured whoever comes on, we can talk about projects that we have in the works or planning. The projects that we're planning on doing. So what do you guys got going on?
So I'm working on so behind me, I'll switch my camera so you can see again. So this is where my makerspace used to be. Where my printer was, I moved it to the other wall. And there's a couple things I have in mind that I'm going to do. But one is definitely a prop. And it's going to be Han Solo and Carbonite. I'm going to do it full size. The body portion is kind of what I'm splitting right now to go 19 times what the model was, so that he is almost 6 foot tall on the Carbonite base. So the Carbonite base itself isn't going to be a problem. So I'll either do that out of MDF or maybe lighter plywood, so it's not all that heavy. And I'm definitely going to do all the side controls. I'll 3D print them. I'll have all the LEDs and displays in there as true to the movie as possible. And I'll have, I think I'll have it sitting on a base that's kind of like the way it looked like in Empire Strikes Back with the red lights shining up. Does anybody know anything about fog machines? Like, are they bad for your health and breathing? Like, could I put that in the room too?
They use propylene glycol. I wouldn't necessarily fill the room with it, but a lot of it's the same liquid that they use with using vapes, the electronic cigarettes and stuff.
Okay, yeah, maybe never mind. I'll just have it there without any fog. I just think it would be cool doing that, but yeah, I definitely don't want to inhale that stuff.
It's probably not something you want in a confined room, so to speak, or like to fog up the whole room constantly. It's probably not good to sit in that.
Sit here coughing the whole stream.
Not to mention, a lot of the fog machines. Now there are there are ones that don't do it, but I don't remember what they use. But if you have a fog machine going in a smaller room and fog up the whole room, it'll actually leave a coating on the surfaces of everything in the room.
No, yeah, I definitely don't
so
want
that may not be a good idea.
Nope, not going to do it. But then the other thing was there's a couple things that I'm kind of torn with. Do I do those panels that have this, the slots that are kind of backlit with the white? Or do I do the panels like the hallways and the Death Star that are kind of like raised panels that look like you can unscrew the sections from the wall? Paint that like gunmetal gray or something and kind of make it look authentic. Like you wouldn't see my baseboard or anything back there, and the floor back there it'll be all tile that matches the Death Star flooring. Then the other thing was, do I build the consoles that are in the Death Star control room? Remember the one where Han Solo and Chewbacca locked themselves in the room where they were trying to do something with the containment there? I forget what that was. The scene, what was going on in the scene there. But that's the big project that's Han Solo. The next thing is the wall back there.
I'm still saying for the wall, man. Millennium Falcon crashing through the wall. Once you print that Han Solo out, the Millennium Falcon won't be nothing, right?
that might be, because I don't have to print the whole thing, right?
No, yeah, you just have to print part of it, and I could just see like have it look like have a false wall or something, and have it look like the wall's crumbling from it falling through or crashing through it.
Maybe that's what I do with the window. Like maybe I'll have a covering for the window, and that'll be part of it.
Yeah.
Display.
You could have the back end of it with the engines and put blue LEDs in the back of it, so it looks like they backed into your wall.
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be pretty cool. I still have yet to print a Millennium Falcon. As much as I'd like to, I have not printed one yet.
I just wonder if there's a way to.
I know.
Yeah. So Shane, you printed one, I assume.
Oh yeah, I used almost an entire roll on the FT5 to print. I think it was like 100 and almost 200 some percent, I guess, scale. Was max build height on that, and I've printed a bunch of small ones. I print out for a bunch of like my coworkers' kids, because that and TIE fighters, I print those out all the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's my project, and that's what's upcoming.
Mike suggests NLTMW in the chat suggested that for your fog to add smoke and After Effects, then apply that to your videos, so that you don't actually have to sit in the fog.
Oh yeah. That's cool. Yeah, because I mean, there's definitely plugins that you can use for doing that. For not for the live stream so much, but definitely for. No, actually, we could do it for the live stream, couldn't we?
Yeah, you could do. So if you did, not green screen, but like basically where you take the picture without you in it, and then you come back to it. You could have the After Effects video playing in the background with your room, and add the smoke to it.
Yeah, even the video just playing over it with low opacity.
Yeah, and it was also suggested. John Mack suggested that you do the Han Solo as a community build. You could slice it up and have everybody print pieces for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about in the chat, what program are you using to slice that up? Because there's the one that Filament Frenzy just posted called Luban, and it actually adds registries to the print for you. Because yours is all flat, but this actually adds in registries that automatically does it for you, basically.
This is in Slicer.
Yeah, he actually, before the stream, was playing with Slicer, and during the stream, I guess, he scaled it up in Fusion and then exported it and started cutting it with Slicer.
Yeah, and I created all the files already. So I got the files, and I'm splitting them. So I already got two split out of 10 that I have to do. So I only have to do this operation like maybe 16 more times, and then I'll be done splitting it.
Only 16 more times.
I'm glad Shane said that, because I actually totally forgot about Filament Frenzy posting that this week. That might actually be worth looking into, John, because you can scale it up, import it into that, and all your pieces will have like a square block or something on one side and a cutout on the other. So everything, for alignment purposes, everything lines right up as you need. If I'd have known about that when I split the Friday night logo for Earth,
yeah,
I may, for community builds, it gets a little bit sketchy because everybody's printers are at different tolerances, and you can't count on those tolerances. So people, when we were talking back in May or April, when we had the community build stream with Jen Shatter on here, that was one of the things we talked about keying parts, and that was the kind of the biggest con to doing that for a community build. But if you do print it yourself, those registrations would work perfect for you.
Yeah, I could see making a mistake, printing a piece twice, you know, because if I don't have the labels on there, yeah, I could definitely end up messing it up.
With the Friday night logo, I only screwed up twice and sent the same part to two different people. But then I also printed the pieces that I printed. I had printed out some and forgot to mark them off that I sent them out, or that I had printed them. So I ended up sending them out. And when I got pieces at Earth, I'm looking at parts. I'm like, well, here's mine. And here's another one. I'm like, well, I'll just use the other person's instead. Just so that everybody still had a shot in it. And it wasn't, I printed pieces just kind of as filler, so to speak. Yeah, so I'm sure, depending on how many parts you split that up into, I'm sure you'll probably come across where you're printing something and you realize that hopefully part of the way through, oh crap, I already printed this.
I like what Robbie said, the trash compactor room with water and junk.
There you go.
I got the junk part. I got the junk part down.
That's my office. I just cleaned this last weekend, and my desk looks like a tornado came through.
You got to see the other part of the room. The other part of the room is.
I can imagine.
All the stuff that was here is like kind of like. I have to clean it all up.
Every time I go through my office in my basement and clean, the side that was clean becomes dirty. The one that was dirty is now clean, and it just kind of like keeps revolving around me. Robbie Mac suggested a lightsaber cutting through the wall as a lamp. That would actually be pretty neat too.
Oh well, yeah, I'd have to think about that one. Yo, what up? So Richard's here.
Where'd you see Richard?
He just joined in. He said, "Oh, hi."
Oh, that's Ross.
Yeah,
you're down for what?
No, he made Richard. That's why I'm calling him Richard.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Shane, what about you? Projects?
Oh, too many.
You're fitting out the house with everything, eh?
Yeah, I mean, so I just made because more like I said, make the Maker's House stuff. I can't order in a pool cover roller because like the minimum length on those is about 6 feet, and that exceeds my shipping dimensions that I can ship in. So I just bought a crap ton of PVC pipe and made my own. So I'm waiting for the straps to come in and then test it out. If it works, I might do something on it. I don't know. I got to build shelves for the wife. She wants shelves put in certain places, and it's cheap enough to buy just the wood here and then just build it myself. So, and then like 3D printing wise, I've got, I mean, everything's going right now. Hopefully you can't hear much of it through the mic. But I mean, all the test prints, I'm still rolling out all the test filaments that I'm working on. I've got 4 different ones going on right now. So that's a big part of what I do here. I'm just working on some new, hopefully, affiliations with some companies to allow me to do more project printing instead of just always the reviews and other little projects. But it'll actually allow me to do much bigger projects since I'll actually have a stream of filament coming in. So that's kind of one of the things that I want to get started here.
what's some of the stuff that you printed for the house to help? I know you did a video a couple weeks ago on some of the things that you're printing. Kind of a vlog update, but
so it's a lot of like the practical stuff, like the toothpaste holder and the paper towel holder and a sponge holder and what's some other things that I had done here. And who is that? Sorry, my wife is messaging me. Okay. Trying to think what are some of the random things. I mean, I 3D print toys for the kids because we just finally got some of our shipment in, so I'll print them random little things to have around. I've been designing a lot more parts for just things here in my office. Spool holder for the rack. I'm modeling things for some of the shelves that I'm making because the guy ended up actually cutting all the boards too short. So they're not exactly as long as I wanted. So I just made a very quick little bracket to put underneath them to basically extend the ledge out that the board is going to sit on. And that will help out a little bit with that. But that's kind of like the main big household items that randomly need a print for. Cool. And I will be back in just a second.
Okay. So some of the stuff I've got in the works, I still need to finish my SpaceX helmet, the spacesuit helmet. Although I'm a little bit in limbo about that because I've seen now that they've had some more conferences and announcements and stuff. I've seen videos of the spacesuit closer up, and the model that I printed is not accurate at all. Like it's really, it's sitting over there. I'd grab it. Basically, that's just like the helmet with the face shield. But I found out there's all these like cutouts on the back and indentations and stuff that mine doesn't have. So I'm kind of torn right now on whether I'm going to reprint it or if I'm just going to continue finishing the one I did. What I may end up doing is finishing the one that I've started, and maybe giving it away. I'm not sure yet, or just giving it to the kids and letting the kids run around and wear it. Practical prints, though, along the same lines of what Shane's up to, I'm printing, or this is one of the revisions of a wall bracket. I have sitting back here on top of my folder tech, the plastic container back there is my dry box for nylon prints and stuff. And I want to take that box and mount it up there on the wall over top of the printer so that it's up out of the way, but I want it to be easy to get to pop the top open and change out the filament. So I'm working on these brackets, which will end up screwing to the wall. And then the handle of the plastic bin will just hook right in here and hang on the wall, sort of like the rep boxes do with their French cleat. Working in my garden out front of my house to slope the dirt away from the house because of some water we were getting in the basement. And our downspouts have these channels. It's a U-shaped channel like that the water runs down the downspout and then that directs it out away from the house. Those things, since the day we bought our house, never stay in place. The dogs drag them around. The kids running through the garden bump them and knock them around. The wind knocks them around. So I'm going to end up designing a custom bracket, custom stakes for those that actually clip on the sides and hold them exactly where I want them to be so they don't get moved around anymore. So that's more along the lines of practical stuff. And then I've got in November, my wife and I are going to be going, setting up a stand at the same craft vendor show that we set up at last year, right after Thanksgiving. And I've got to get working on that. Working on some new designs for our Etsy shop and to sell out there, but nothing to announce there yet. And then non-3D printing related, I've got my Maker t-shirts that I'm selling on my Etsy shop. I have part of the next shirt in that series designed, but I need to get that finished. I was hoping to release a shirt every 2 weeks till I had about 6 shirts up, but I've been too busy to be able to get working on that. How's that coming, John?
I got 2 more parts to do, and I'll be done.
Really? That was quicker than I thought it would take.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I thought it was really daunting, and so I think in the end I might only have 20 some pieces to print. That'll be rather large.
Yeah, that's not bad. Long print times on those, I'm sure. Probably 15, 20 hours.
Could be. Yeah.
How, so out of curiosity, with the way you're doing it, how are you making sure, I haven't used Slicer to cut anything. How are you making sure that you don't overlap parts?
Because I started with the model so if you remember, I isolated the body.
Yeah.
In here.
Yep.
I got rid of the hands and the feet and the head because there was a problem with this where when I split it in Slicer, the model didn't have the belt buckle and the loops, and one other component were not actually made as one, and it didn't work. So I came into Fusion 360 and deleted all the other components, left this as is, saved it, brought it into Slicer, stood it up vertically, and then started cutting at about 190 millimeters.
Okay.
And so that's what created the sections. And then anything that was bigger widthwise on the platter, like this part fits fine, right?
Right.
But if it was wider and I couldn't rotate it to fit within the diagonal, then I would rotate it along the axis so that I could cut it again into 2 pieces. Because I want to print it in this orientation, because we know when we print this way, you don't see any layer lines like you would if it were laying down on its side.
Yeah, you'd have like that, the thicker layer lines if it was building up.
Yeah, so this is the better way to do it. And then this piece just lays on the board for the carbonite piece, you know?
Yep. Did you, just out of curiosity, have you tried slicing the full model just to kind of get an idea how much filament that's going to take with your settings, or have you not tried that yet?
No, I did not try that.
I did that with the Friday night logo. Now, I don't know if Slicer will let you do it or not, but I loaded the full model into Simplify 3D and sliced it, even though the printer wouldn't be able to actually print that size. And it gave me 50 pounds of filament for that.
Yeah.
Which actually turned out to be pretty close.
Where's it show that number at after you're done slicing?
So Simplify 3D has its estimates.
Oh, this is Slicer.
Yeah, the Slicer actually has the estimates. I don't know if Slick 3R or Slicer, if that actually will give you estimates or not, but it's kind of in the same area as your cost calculator. Does that have that? Where you can tell it like a spool of filament costs me this much money for the spool, and then it tells you what your total cost is for that part.
Is anybody saying anything in chat about it?
Actually, chat's pretty quiet. Eddie's back though.
Eddie's the best, man. He's such a ball buster.
He was getting heat the other day though when he had to go to the doctor's office.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to be horrible. I'll do it in the wood filament because I think the wood filament will be the easiest for me.
Why?
You know,
just out of curiosity, why do you think that's going to be easier for this one?
Because it has a lot of wood in it, and I think for applying whatever material I need to apply to it, it'll bond easier. You know, if I need to coat it with a plaster or something, I just have a feeling it'll stick to it.
Okay.
Not plaster, but maybe hydrocal or something.
Okay, yeah.
I got a feeling if I put hydrocal on PLA, you know, it could just like pop right off and not stick.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think with the wood, it might have a better chance. I mean, I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I wonder. Go ahead, Jake.
The wood filament is very, very porous. So, probably that would actually I mean, anything you want to stick to, that probably might be the best bet. It's just not the best bet for your pocket because you're paying.
It's like $30 a roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, upwards of $10 more over regular PLA. There's a few out there that are okay. I've tested quite a few of them.
I love Hatchbox.
Then that is probably my favorite. My second favorite is Prideline. That actually printed extremely well. Prideline.
I'm not familiar with that filament.
I reviewed it earlier this year, but it actually printed even better than Hatchbox did. I just preferred the color and the feel of Hatchbox over the Prideline.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that either.
Yeah, I did. I participated in Weta Rosie's community build, and I went through 4 rolls of a Hatchbox, I think, wood.
Yeah, they had a couple of them had a competition going on. Who could print the most pieces?
John Mack was like way ahead of. There was like no way I was catching John Mack.
I know between you, John Mack, and NLTMW, you guys all printed quite a few pieces. And I think Robbie Mack might have even been involved in that too.
Yeah,
printed a lot of pieces for it.
Yeah, that gave me a lot of experience. I mean, what I liked about it is I already had experience 3D printing, and when I got a piece to print that was randomly selected and handed to me, I could tell right away that there's no way I'm going to be able to print that the way it is now. So I had it had like 2 pieces in it and the way it was oriented, so I already knew how to orient it on a bed for the best print capability and all that. So that was neat. But the thing that really saved me, Magic Goo. Because I had it would not stick. I got the MK2S, and the PAI has been through hell.
Yeah.
Still working. But the Magic Goo, man, and I could apply it, and I just kept using isopropyl alcohol. And there's something about the isopropyl alcohol and the Magic Goo that it still does its job.
Really?
Yeah, and so I apply. So and I just found this out by mistake, and then I saw somebody comment about it on Twitter or in the dark Twitter about it. We had I applied the packet, the sample packet to the bed, and printed, and so then I'm like, okay, well let me clean this off. And so I used 90% alcohol, cleaned it off, printed again, because I'm like, and I forgot to apply the stuff again. And I'm like, well, it worked. And then so from that point on, I kept doing the alcohol. And it must have like the thinnest amount required. And I think I got like 30 prints out of one sample pack.
Well, I know now I ran out of Magic Goo. I got to get more, which I don't know if they're going to be at New York Maker Faire or not, but that was my first exposure to it last year, was all the packets I brought home from New York. I've switched back to glue stick, but heck, I used isopropyl alcohol to clean that, or denatured alcohol to clean my bed. Anytime I needed to put down a fresh, smooth layer of Magic Goo. And here, maybe I didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I think you can get away with using 90% alcohol.
Yeah.
Or 91, whatever it is they sell.
Yeah, the highest
to thin it out. And I just wiped it over the entire bed. And the other trick, I kept using the same paper towel. And I used the same side of the paper towel all the time.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling that the paper towel itself retained whatever it is that's in the Magic Goo.
Right, yeah, it probably absorbed it.
But now it's going to have to start that process all over again because I cleaned up. Stupid me.
No, I was laughing at Eddie's comment in the chat,
okay.
but I'm not repeating it.
Oh, jeez. Let me look.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to try that the next time I get some Magic Goo. Actually, I got something cool that I might end up unboxing tomorrow. You guys see this yet? I guess it helps if I flip it right side up.
Let me see your screen. Now, hold it up there again.
I still got it there.
I got that.
Did you?
No, I don't. No. I have the filament. I don't have the toolkit.
Yeah. I've got a roll of his filament too. Chuck's Filament Friday 3D print toolkit. I'm gonna give that a go through and record a review video for that, and probably do a live unboxing. I'm hoping maybe tomorrow if I have time to do it. I was gonna do it the other night, but then I saw a bunch of people were streaming, so I kind of held off on it.
So what's all in it? Because I have not heard about that yet. I've also been kind of lacking on Chuck's videos lately.
So actually, you know what? I don't think he's mentioned this on his video yet, or any of his videos. But on the back, it does show you, I guess this is everything that's in it. It has a pair of electronic digital calipers, a print removal tool, a knife cleanup kit, which it does say under that it features a variety of blades to help remove any excess debris. It has a self-healing cutting mat, so one like, I can't pick it up high enough, but I have one of those Fisker cutting mats on my desk. Something similar to that's in here. It has an Avery or Avery, yeah, I guess that's Avery glue stick. The way it's written on there, there's a space. It looks like it says a very glue stick. Needle nose pliers, diagonal cutters.
How do you stop me from being pinned?
Oops, sorry. That was my fault. I clicked yours to see your screen for Eddie's comment and forgot to unclick it. Yeah, a pair of needle nose pliers, diagonal wire cutters, deburring tool, 4-inch file, a wire brush, and a zipper pouch to hold it all. So I'll be taking a look at that here soon.
He's still pinned, just so you know. And I'm on his website right now trying to find it. You got on his website?
Give me a second. I can post a link.
I'm not pinned now. I can see you on a YouTube, Matt.
Can you? Okay. I say it shouldn't be pinned. If it is, Google's got an issue.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Google screen.
Oh, yeah. If you're looking on Hangouts, it may get stuck, but what you see is not necessarily what's actually streaming. I know it's on Amazon. Friday toolkit. There you go. I'll grab a link and post it in the chat here in a second.
Trying to figure out why I'm blurry.
Amazon needs to really work on shortening their URLs. Oh, I can't post it because it's 207 characters. Are you serious?
Well, if you use the affiliate ones, they're real short.
Yeah, I don't have affiliate set up.
Right. Yes, I see it on here now. It's $40, huh?
Yeah. Which, I mean, considering some of the tools that are in there, you could easily get close to that if you bought decent stuff. Now, I don't know. I haven't opened it yet to know what's actually in it. Whether it's kind of cheaper tools or if it's average tools or more expensive tools, I'm not sure.
I mean, the print removal tool looks like the one that I recommend to everybody. So I'm looking at that now. His deburring tool looks a little different than his if you buy it by itself, which I bought from him a long time ago. You know, X-Acto knife set. The cutting mat is interesting. I like the little bag snips. Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's actually not the tool that's pictured on the box. So I'm not sure. Now, it's like illustrations on the box, but it showed kind of more like a cement trowel or a drywall trowel, kind of your spade shape to it.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, as long as it's the ones that are like super duper thin, like this one, which I was just using. These are the best things ever.
Yeah, that's actually what it's showing me on Amazon as being in the box. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
so one like what you just held up.
You're locked, Matt. I don't think we're seeing
How am I locked?
Shane at all. Is anybody seeing Shane?
Should be. Waiting for the chat to respond.
Testing 1 2 testing.
There, John talked. I talked. Shane, try talking once.
Aloha.
Yeah, that's interesting. I see myself locked too. Are you seeing me locked on it, John?
Testing 1 2 3 testing. Mic check. Mic check. Serenity now.
What the heck? Oh, somehow I can eject John from the from the stream.
It's called eject.
Okay, so
missile lock on Matt.
So now everybody's probably seeing John. Stop presenting. All right, try talking, Shane or John.
Mic check.
Yo, 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 yo. I see you switch there.
So you guys are seeing it switch, but for some reason it's not switching for me. Okay, I will try to switch back and forth manually because something's hanging up on Hangouts. I'm not
All right,
sure.
now Shane, our job is to totally mess with Matt and keep trying to talk over one another so that he doesn't know what to do.
I'm fine with that.
Here, back and forth between the two of us. Oh man, I don't really have anything else for tonight. What do you guys got?
Getting late for me. 12:30 in the morning now.
Yeah,
I'm an hour ahead of East Coast time.
Gotcha.
Well, do you guys just want to do the outros tonight? We'll have this one be a short one. I mean, we kind of knew going into it that this was going to be a shorter stream just because of everybody being tied up in travels or at New York. So let's go ahead, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about tonight. We'll do the outros, and during my outro, I'll give some updates on the Friday night hangouts and some things that we have in the works. Give some sneak peeks here at the end of some discussions that are coming up.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Go ahead and do your outro, John.
All right, so I'm John. When you do it, you may not be able to see me right now because Matt didn't select me, or he selected Shane to be funny.
I didn't do that. Actually, I do have you selected, so they should be seeing you.
All right, so I do a lot of DIY maker stuff on my channel. I also have Instagram and Twitter. So on Instagram, you can find me at letteru.do.it. And on Twitter, you can find me at u_do_it. I have some footage I will be preparing for a coffee table that I built. It's one that I told everybody about around December, January timeframe. I will get around to editing that footage. And I still don't remember. I thought I did. about that important topic from the video marketing world. But anyway, I'll bring that up on the next one. And maybe we'll see you all on the EU edition of F3D PCH. Oh, here you go. Here's an important point.
Nope, too late. I switched off of you.
All right, never mind.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, so anybody know who Daryl Eves is? He's a YouTuber who influences other YouTubers and people in video and TV industry how to make better content, better commercials. They did a study, and they laid out the format for a video. And your video is not a video, it's a show. So you make it part of a show. You have about 3 to 5 seconds to capture somebody's attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds of the video. Unless if you're part of the community. If you're part of the community, if I may release a video, you might watch it. But we're talking about you're a video out of 100 videos that you see on the right of a topic you may be searching or served up. If they click on your video, the impression is 3 to 5 seconds, and then they'll boot if they're not hooked. After that 3 to 5 seconds, you can get into a little bit explanation about what to do, what the purpose of the video is. If you get them to that point, now you have the chance for about another 15 to 30 seconds of their attention. And at that point, you make the pitch to them. It's a call to action, but it's also describing your story. So you'll hear or you'll watch some really polished content creators who will have this quick little hook in the beginning so that you watch. They'll have a quick little channel bumper, it's called, little intro. Then we'll go into the explanation, short explanation of what the video is. Then they'll tell you who they are for new people. The people who already know them, so they don't really care about that. But he kind of prefaces it like, hey, this is, John, would you do it? I publish content whenever I have a project around the house. I do DIY content. I do 3D printing. Occasionally I'll do videos when I'm in Wildwood, New Jersey, boating. So if you like that content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification so you're notified when the next video comes out, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram so you can catch behind the scenes and latest news. Then you go right into the video. If they got to that point, you might have another 30 seconds of their time. So
Eddie said you need to add to your about you that you die playing video games.
God, I love Eddie. He's a good man. Yeah, so anyway.
That's actually pretty useful information, and a lot of the larger channels that I watch, I've seen exactly what you're talking about. And in honesty, until you said it, I never really thought of it that way, but it makes perfect sense. Yep.
So that's the timeline I have. I have the information I can share with you. I'll put it in the dark Twitter for us to see. It's a chart that they had that kind of shows that breakdown of what the flow is. And they said for successful commercials, like the Harmon brothers have some successful commercials where they'll do repetitive things. If it's a funny type commercial, they'll do repetitive things throughout it because the repetitive nature, kind of like what you see in a comedian's presentation. There'll be like some little thing that they'll say, and then they'll say it periodically throughout the whole thing, like shucky ducky. Like, what does shucky ducky mean? But then they'll just say shucky ducky 20, 30 times throughout the whole thing. So you do that.
I would think that's a bad thing to do, because if it's somebody like me who has a wandering mind, if you give me something, I'm going to go off Googling it and not be watching your video.
Yeah. So anyway, that's then you summarize it at the end, what you just told them. And you want them to stay on up to like 70%. If you can get them to stay within 70% watch time, let's say you got a 10-minute video. If they stay 7 minutes, you're gold, and the algorithm's gonna push you to the next person. There's some controversy around how the algorithm works. YouTube put out a video kind of debunking some of the rumors, but there's a lot of people with some hard numbers that kind of prove that it doesn't seem like what they're saying is true.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know.
I'll talk in the next one about that. But good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know. Watching Chuck on Twitter, Chuck Hellebuck, he shows a lot of interesting analytics about his channel from time to time, and yeah, I understand why people have differing ideas from what YouTube says they're actually doing, just based on some of the stuff I've seen him post versus what they say. So, all right, I'm gonna switch over to Shane. All right, Shane, the camera is on you.
Oh, great. I'm Shane from Fugate 3D Printing, and I do 3D printing reviews on filaments, 3D printers, and I do 3D printing projects. I will be hopefully starting doing some other content, but see how things pan out. You can find me on YouTube at Fugate 3D Printing, and pretty much anywhere else. If you just search Fuginator, you will find me. So that is my spiel there.
That was short and sweet. Anything we can look forward to in the near future, Shane?
You can look forward to hopefully the continuation of videos as long as I can keep getting them done and I can keep getting content created. I don't have any large projects on the scale yet, as I just moved, so I'm still settling in, still getting the rest of my printers to come in. Once I get my full arsenal back, I plan on doing more hypercube builds. My wife gave me the authority to do a large hypercube build, so maybe in future year or so I'll be able to do something like that. But now it's just, let's get settled, let's get back on task and get the videos pumping.
Cool.
Hey, can you talk a minute about 3D Gloop? I saw you tweeted that.
Yes. Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I talked to Andrew at ERF with the 3D Gloop, and they are supposedly sending me out some of the PLA. They have ABS, and their PETG is not stable, so they're having issues with the shelf stability of that. And but no, I mean it's basically it's kind of like Magigoo on steroids. So you can use it for bed adhesion, but it also can be used as a PLA or ABS glue, and it breaks it down just like how, I don't know if you ever did models as a kid. You do build car models, or you use that plastic model glue. It basically melts and then fuses the two parts together. That's exactly what the 3D Gloop does, and they had done some tests, and they had two handles, you know, basically welded together using 3D Gloop, and you tried to pull it and no one could do it. You know, I mean, you put 200 some pound men on each side of that and no one could pull that apart. So that is an amazing bond that they're pushing out there, but they're a very small startup. I mean, these guys, I think they're two just out of college guys that have made this. So I'm hoping to see more from them, and they're trying to get their stuff out. They had free samples out there right now. You just pay the shipping to get that for you people to try out.
I might have to try that.
Your Han Solo would probably be a pretty good project for that one.
Yeah, for real. I like the idea that it actually melts it. Good, Matt.
No, you're fine. One, Shane, is it the glue, or do they have a separate product that for smoothing? I know that the chemicals in the glue will smooth PLA, just like acetone smooths ABS. But I know when I had talked to them, it sounded like there was a separate product that they were going to have specifically meant for smoothing.
No, it's the same product. It's just two different mediums. So one is more of a glue, and it's just thicker. And then there is the other more liquidy. It has the applicator and everything. It has like kind of like you get rubber cement. It's got the little applicator on it. That one can be used for gluing, smoothing, and putting on your bed.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to see more. I hear more content creators that are talking about the 3D gloop. So I think we're going to see some more of that on YouTube and Twitter and the other social medias as time goes on here.
So one last question, Shane. So I noticed you were doing some interviews. I'm starting to get into some interviewing stuff. If let's say I'm asking you tips on how to perform an interview, how would you do it? Like I'm in the elevator with you for 30 seconds.
Oh, basically, I mean, it's just the big thing is get the person's name, get their position, what they do for the company, and kind of what is the thing that they want to push, because you're just the medium for them to present their information. And I say, okay, so what are you presenting today? I'm presenting this printer. I'm presenting 3D gloop. I'm presenting this filament. I'm presenting this project, this laser cutter, whatever it is, and kind of give them the floor to explain to you what it is. As they're talking, I'm very big on ad hoc or just thinking of the questions as they're talking. I don't ever go with a script. And it's more of like when they say something that's interesting, I will bookmark that, let them continue talking. Okay, let's go back to this real quick because this sounded interesting. Talk more about this.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I think I've done maybe 20 interviews so far, and looking forward to do more. Definitely at New York Comic Con. My my application there, good.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you, like, as a content creation, the first time I ever did it was at IRF. Now, in my job, I don't interview people, but I have very quick reactions with customers and things like that. So I talk to a lot of people. I get a lot of information from them in a very short period of time. I try to get to whatever they need to get done, and again, extract that information out of them quickly, ask questions on what they told me, and then go on from there. So I've never really done it before. I'm hoping that people liked those videos because that was my first time of doing it on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my application for New York Comic Con Press Pass was, hey, I'm involved in the 3D printing community. I want to interview cosplayers who employ 3D printing elements in their cosplay costumes, and I was accepted. So we'll see how that goes. Can't hear you, Matt.
Yeah, I've muted myself instead of unmuting myself. Yeah, so I'm Matt from How I Do It, your host for the night. I do a little bit of everything. I'm always trying something new, or I'm always doing something. My channel is basically just showing you how I do things. They may not be the best way to do things, may not be the right way to do things. It's just how I do things. And Gear Down for What said that, John, you asked the wrong person. You should have, instead of asking Shane how he would do it, you should have been asking how I do it. And you asked the right person, by the way. I still have not perfected interviews, and I'm not exactly sure that I want to do interviews a lot besides like on the Friday night hangout. But anyhow, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/howidoit. On Twitter, I'm at Country Cowboy. And on Facebook, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else, I'm just Matthew Flunchball. Everybody who's watching tonight, please be sure, if you haven't, to go subscribe to John over at You Do It. Go subscribe to Shane over at Fugate on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Facebook. And, of course, if you're not subscribed to the Friday night 3D Printing Community Hangout channel, be sure to subscribe so that you're notified of the bumper videos that we've been doing for each weekly stream, and also notified of when we go live for the weekly streams. Next week, the EU stream will be on September 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's 20 UTC, or 21 UTC, I'm sorry. I'm I'm not sure yet who's hosting that. I know the EU co-hosts have all been pretty adamant that Martin from 3D Printing Iceland is going to continue to host for a while till they all get their feet wet with everything and kind of get a good feel for it. So it's very well likely that Martin will host again next week, and they will have a topic. I think, well, I know quite a few of them are going to the TCT, I think it is, show. So I'm sure they're going to be talking about that, kind of recapping on things that they saw there, as well as other discussions. So be sure to catch that if you can. If not, the next US stream will be on Friday, September 5th, or October 5th, sorry, at 10 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's 2 a.m. UTC. So we'll let you know who's going to be hosting that one as soon as we have a host for it. Just to kind of give you guys a little insight as to what's coming up. I'm currently in the talks with Protopasta. Alex and Keith from Protopasta are going to be giving me some dates in October or November that they're available. And we're going to, the topic for that stream is going to be filament manufacturing. It's kind of going to be going back to that model that we did with Mosaic and Prusa, where they kind of tell us about their product, tell us what they do. And then the co-hosts will get to ask questions, followed by questions from the chat. That date has not been set yet, but it is definitely going to happen. We just got to get dates lined up. The other thing that we have in the works is Heather from the 3D Pink Mafia, DD Heather on Twitter, is working on organizing a Women of 3D Printing Friday night hangout. So we're going to have one of those coming up. That's a all-women Friday night hangout. That's in the works. And the other thing that I've been working on this week is I started talking with Simplify 3D. They've been teasing on Twitter. Thanks, John. They've been talking on Twitter about the new Simplify 3D version. So I'm in the talks with them that sometime around when they're going to announce and release that new version of Simplify, we may have them come on the Friday night hangout and talk about the updates. So that's some of the things that we have in the works coming up. The dates have not been set yet for any of those. So keep following us on Twitter at F3DPCH. It's down there on the logo. Follow us there for updates. You can follow us on Facebook as well. This week, unfortunately, I was slacking a little bit and wasn't updating the Facebook. My apologies. Try not to let that happen again. So that's it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on the Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout. We'll see you again in a week or 2 weeks, depending on when you can make it. Have a good night, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Have a good night.